where do we as so-called Nubians, those of us from Latin America, the Caribbean, here in North America, parts of Europe, and the African continent, where do we find our place in the scriptures? Specifically in this case, the Bible. We all know that King James, or the Roman Catholic, or the Greek Orthodox with the Septuagint, the Catholics with the Latin Vulgate, King James, the Anglican Bible, many have stepped in with their translations, interpretations, and their own opinions on records that actually predate European development.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel once again. My name is Dash Lifestyle. Kindly for watching me for the first time. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and also comment. To my returning subscriber, thank you so much for always coming back and watching my video. Thank you so much for the love and support. So guys, in today's video, I want us to watch and to listen to this video from a black pastor. He has come out and uncovered the truth of the Bible. The white people, they have been painting Jesus to be white. They have been telling us as black people that God or Jesus, he is white. And this black pastor, he has come out and revealed the hidden truth of the black in the Bible. So kindly guys, watch this video, then I'll be back with more comment.
I always like to get right into it because you have time constraints, and I like to get as much information out and answer as many questions as possible. My name is Reverend A.J. Varma. Some know me as Hardu Hotep Tar. And today's discussion, I'm going to be discussing with you Africa's relationship to the scriptures. The reason we chose this topic is because you have a difference or a split amongst the conscious movements or amongst the various churches as to, when I say the scriptures, specifically the Bible, and in many instances the Quran as well, where do we as so-called Nubians, those of us from Latin America, the Caribbean, here in North America, parts of Europe, and the African continent, where do we find our place in the scriptures? Specifically in this case, the Bible. We all know that King James, or the Roman Catholic, or the Greek Orthodox with the Septuagint, the Catholics with the Latin Vulgate, King James, the Anglican Bible, many have stepped in with their translations, interpretations, and their own opinions on records that actually predate European development, predate the so-called civilization of the European continent. And they make it seem that we as Nubian people, Nubian Melaninite, or Africans, or Latino, or Caribbean, or whatever we call ourselves today, as if we were converts to what's now being called Judaism, or what's now being called Christianity, or in some cases, what's now being called Islam. So today we're going to go into the scriptures to see this Bible as we hold it today, the King James Version or translation. Does it in the English as well as specifically in the Hebrew, does it in fact show or mention we as a people, as Melaninite people, having an existence and in a direct influence on this book or these books or these scriptures or these religions and opinions? I say that because when I talk to our brothers and sisters in the consciousness movements and I say I'm a true Christian, and we say that in that particular way, true Christian. We say that because we want to make sure that it's a difference between just saying I am a Christian and I am a true Christian. And when I say true Christian, we use the word Christian. You're going to hear some words today. We're going to define, and then we're going to show you these words in the Bible. If you have a pen and paper, we do ask that you please take it out, take notes, ask questions. Christian, say that word for us, everybody. Now, this word, we were taught that when I went to church as a boy, I went to Catholic school, St. Raymond's in the Bronx in New York. And then while there, I was taught that Christian as a word was something that the disciples of an individual that the world has come to call Christ, they were called in a place called Antioch, according to the books of Acts. That the disciples went to this place called Antioch, and when they got to Antioch, which is at the time in a place called Syria today, Okay? And when they got there, the people there who were worshiping Syrian gods and certain Syrian doctrines, like the Sabian teachings, refer to them out of disrespect as Christian. And that word comes from the Greek Christos, and it means refuse, R-E-F-U-S-E, to refuse, or something refuse, something you throw away, something to be discarded, something to not be appreciated. However, as a word, that word Christian, everybody say it with me please, Christian, right? Because so many of us were raised or are Christians, but we never stop to find out what is the origin of this word, and does Africa have a relationship to this word? And words are important. Words have to be important, because I learned as a little boy, and I'm sure you all in this room today as young ladies or ladies and gentlemen, at some points in your life you learned that words were important. If it was in church, we learned in the beginning was the word, right? John chapter 1. If it's in school, you learn reading, writing, and arithmetic, person, places, and thing, me, myself, and I, nouns, adverbs, adjectives, verbs, etc. You learn words. And you learned about words being utilized to do mathematics, right? Word problems. You learned words being utilized for reading. You learned words for history. You learned words for science. So words have a very important place. Now, this word in the Greek, they use the word logos. Logos. Everyone say that word. Logos. From where you get the word logic. Thinking, things, the mind, how the mind perceives a thing. Because everything that we learn, everything that we encounter is based on perception. If I'm a Muslim, my perception is to eat pork is bad and to eat cow is good. Beef, right? If I'm a Hindu, my perception is to eat cow is bad and to eat pork is good. If I'm a scientist, I check out the pathogens and the microbes and the bacteria in both and make another decision. So perception, how we perceive things. Now, this word Christian, because we're talking about words with Africa's relationships to the scriptures, the root of this word Christian is the word Christ. Now, we learn in our churches, whether we're Baptist, Lutheran, Episcopalian, Methodist, Seventh-day Adventist, Jehovah's Witness, there's so many, right? Regardless of what church we come from, we learn that Christ, we were taught that Christ means what? Anyone? Take a guess. Savior? Anybody else have another one they learn? Anointed, Son of God, any other things? Now, if we look in our Bible in the book of John, chapter 1, and I'll try to write the quotes as we mention them. John chapter 1, verse 41, and please excuse me for having to turn back to you. In John chapter 1, verse 41, we read that he first findeth his own brother, and this is speaking about Andrew. Andrew's supposed to be one of the disciples of Christ. It says, Andrew first findeth his own brother, Simon Peter, and says to him, we have found the Messiah, which is being interpreted the Christ. This is in the King James Version. I have a Bible. If you need to see it, I'll pass it to you. Which is being interpreted the Christ. So this name Christ, by that quote, John chapter 1, verse 41, is it his name or is it an interpretation? It's an interpretation. Now, of course, you say, well, Rev, why is that so important? It doesn't matter. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with, and the Word was. That's the way it's translated, right? So it's important. Because I want to now ask the question, well, who, what, when, why, and how, who was interpreting this name, Christ? Was it the disciples? Couldn't have been, because he just said, we have found the Messiah, which is being interpreted the Christ. So the disciples, being of the house of Judah and the house of Reuben or the house of Benjamin or the original Israel, and I didn't say Israeli. I'm going to show you in the Bible where they're both in there. See, because somewhere along the line, we as Africans of the diaspora don't understand that words and logos and language is important. So So we think when we hear Israeli, say Israeli, and we hear Israel, we think we're talking about the same thing. We think when we say Ishmaeli, say Ishmaeli, and Ishmael, we think we're talking about the same thing. We think when we say Midiani, and Mitani, that we're talking about the same thing, but history, his history, says, no, we're not. You see, when we say Israel, and we use it this way, Israel, I-Y-L, right? Israel, and we see this name is Israeli are the Jebusites spoken about in the books of Judges chapter 10 and Joshua chapter 5. We're going to go into it. How the Jebusites, the seed of Canaan, which Zondervan Bible, and I have about 4 different Bibles by different companies, tell you that the children of Canaan, which are mentioned in Genesis chapter 11, are in fact the Europeans, though for years, going back to the 50s and the 40s and the 30s, they used to say the curse of Canaan, with Ham's son Canaan, was the curse on black people making us black, or Nubian Melaninite people making us Melaninites from Latin America, etc. But now they're admitting, and I'm going to make sure I pass it around so you can see with Zondervan. I don't work for Zondervan, haven't met anybody at the company, but where they're admitting to it. Key Study Bibles admitting to it. Ryrie Study Bible admitting to it, that the Europeans, so-called Caucasians, are the seed of Canaan, and that you are the original seed of the scripture. And they understood the words because these were the Greeks who were mistranslating, misinterpreting, and reformulating the books of the Bible. The very word Bible, they understood the word Bible as being biblos in the Greek. And they said biblos papyri. And that word papyri is papyrus, sun paper, the papyrus reeds of ancient Africa. Notice I didn't say Egypt. Because in the Niger Delta, and I'm not talking about Timbuktu, I'm talking about cities older than Timbuktu that rivaled Mesopotamia or in Chaldea, that you can go on BBC, on YouTube right now and type in ancient Malian cities, and they did whole documentaries on we in West Africa, North Africa, South Africa, East Africa, and Central Africa having cities that span back over 100,000 years. They found the Malian records over 100,000 years being kept by villagers 2 years ago, and they're presenting it. Look up the Malian records. Back to the point. When you say Christ, and we'll get into Israeli and Israel in a minute. So Christ is this interpretation, John chapter 1 verse 41, interpreted by the Greeks. Why is that important? Because the Greeks had a word, Christos. Christos. Say that word. And when they said Christos, they were not talking about the Messiah. That's described in Revelation chapter 1 as having hair like lamb's wool and feet like burnt brass. Because that individual with burnt brass feet, now, I'm not the best of cooks, but I do know that something that's burnt is normally dark. That's, you burn some toast, you got to take out the knife and try to scrape it. Right? Okay, don't act like I'm the only poor person in the house. We've all done that before, right? Okay, so when you hear Christ, Christos, there is a difference between Christos and Christ. People say, well, I've never heard of this word, Christ. Well, in the Hebrew, every year, living here in the West, there's a holiday that comes up called Rosh Hashanah. Anybody ever heard of it? You have to, because it's always on the news. You don't know what it is. It comes on TV. They say it's Yom Kippur, it's Rosh Hashanah, it's Passover. You heard about Passover. Remember Moses' 10 Commandments, Charleston Heston, the river parted, they walked through it. But this word Rosh Hashanah, or Rosh Hashanah, they say means the head, Rosh, or Rais in Arabic. They put this here. And it means the head, a person's head, Rosh. Our Rastafarian brother said, Haile Selassie Rastafari, the head, Tafari. So this word Rast has always been there. And this word ka in ancient Tamaré, it means the spirit or the personality of a people. The consciousness, we say the Christ consciousness. Because we know that the real Christ, the true and living Messiah, I say Messiah because we just learned that Christ is a what? Interpretation. The living Messiah says he will come amongst the people. Not as an individual, but by being a what? A consciousness, not a spirit. A personality, a consciousness. I stand at the door of your heart and I knock. That's what the scripture says, right? Why do they use the heart? Because the heart is the seat of what? Emotions. And your emotions it's a direct reflection of your personality. How you respond to something. Your reactions to things are how you think. How you see things as right or wrong is based off of your perception of those things, correct? So this word Christ, somebody was bringing it in. And they knew when they were bringing it in that there was already a Christ. People say, well, how do you know that? Well, because I was taught and I was shown as a little boy at St. Raymond's Elementary School in the Bronx for 8 years of my life in that Bible, that when this individual they're calling Jesus was a baby and his life was endangered, an angel came and said, Mary, Joseph, take the child and go to Egypt. But the last time I checked, Egypt is in Africa. And I have to step back and say, well, 2,000 years ago, or 2011 years ago, or almost 2012 years ago, right? What did Egypt look like? What type of people? What was the facial features? Well, thank goodness to Google. I can go on Google, click on Google Images, and just type in ancient Egyptians. And I see all the faces in this room. I see all the complexions in this room, from caramel beige to turquoise green to purple, blue, black to whatever, because that's all of us in here. But I'm saying that for a reason, because if this little baby was going to hide, if right now you came and say, yo, Rev, there's some people looking for you, they want to kill you. We're going to take you and hide you in Sweden. How well would I do hiding in Sweden? Would I be able to, hide in Sweden? You think I can get away with it? No. So of all the places, right, this angel that came to Joseph, they could have said, take him and go to Mesopotamia. Take him and go to Ur. Take him and go to Chaldea. Take him and go to China. Take him and go to, because these were places, India, the land of Hind. These were places that existed 2,000 years ago. Alexander, the Greeks were engaging in warfare, trying to conquer these lands. India is mentioned in the books of Esther. So India was already there, because Esther, King Ahasuerus, was ruling all the way, his kingdom stretched all the way to India, the Persian Empire. So this little baby was going to hide in Africa amongst African people. So he must have looked like an African. And he spent 12 to 13, depending on who we ask, years of his life in Africa. Well, I was born in Africa. I was raised here in New York. And we know that Africa, like here, there are laws for schooling. Every African village has schooling. Ancient times, they may not be teaching see, spot, run, but they were teaching things that were pertinent to the survival of their children in that village, amongst that tribe, clan, family, etc. True? So what was this little baby learning for 12 or 13 years in Africa? What did you and I learn in school here in America? What type of history did we learn? American history. What type of religion did we learn? Americans' interpretation of religion. What type of science did we learn? America's, because if I go to China, what the children in China are learning as far as science differs. I lived in London for almost 2 years. What the children in London learn as far as their science classes differs, because different textbooks by different companies have different results on the minds of the children. So this individual, this baby, is in Africa learning for 12 or 13 years African education, the African Board of Education. And then came back, according to what's written, to Jerusalem, and was teaching and speaking something that the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Romans felt threatened by in Jerusalem. Now we're going to go into everything I'm saying. I'm going to give you the quotes in a minute. I'm just touching on it. Where in Jerusalem the Jebusites did rule. And the children of Israel, the Nubian Melanonites, could not push them out. And this is why Seti David, and I say Seti because David's kingdom, Judea, was built in the south. The name Seti means southern one. His title, like king, ruler, was Seti. His name was David. And they built their kingdom south, which was going down the Nile. We're going to get into that. So, we have Christians, say that for us. We have Christ. We have Christos. We also have the Hindu, because the Hindus had their interpretation. Because remember, back in Esther chapter 1, King Ahasuerus, also known as King Xerxes, his empire stretched as far as India. So India's influence is also in the King James, Zondervan, and everybody else's interpretations of the Bible. But when we go amongst the Hindus, they have Krishna. Again, this word, Krishna, Christos, because Greece or Greek, Anglican, Indo-European languages. They come out of the everybody, you learn about it in school. If you haven't, just type it online. A list of Indo-European languages. The very word in English, father, comes from the Greek Peter, which comes from the Hindi or Sanskrit, Peter.
So guys, I hope you have watched that video and you have listened to what this black pastor, he has come out and revealed the hidden truth of the Bible. And also, he has come out and tell us that Jesus is not white, Jesus is black. And for so many years, the white people, they have been hiding some of the truth in the Bible, telling us that everything which it is associated with white, it is good, and everything which it is associated with black, it is bad. And for that reasons, we as black people, we have been living knowing that Jesus is white. And up to date, when you go to some of our African country, you will find there are still some of the black people, some of the Africans, they are still worshiping white Jesus. So this is now to tell you that these people, they have been brainwashing us black people, and for real, these people, they have been hiding the truth of the black in the Bible. So everything in the Bible, it was started here in Africa. There is no any other places that there's no any other place that Bible was being written according to the history. The history shows that the Bible, all things that happen in the Bible, it was happening here in Africa. So these people coming out and tell us God is white, and yet this pastor, he has come out and tell us in the Bible there's no anything in the Bible which happened in the United States, in the Europe, in the UK. No, everything happened in Egypt, and Egypt, it is one of the African country. So this is to tell you black people that for so many years, these people, they have been brainwashers, black people. And I'm so proud to see some of our pastors, our professors coming out and revealing the truth about black people. For so many years, these people, they have been hiding our history. You can see even in our school, these people, they are now teaching about the white history simply because they don't want to know our black children to know about our history, simply because they know if we will know our history, we will be knowing the truth of who are the real Jews. And yes, we are the real Jews. That's black people. We are the real Jews. So this is one of the reasons also to why these people, the white people, they are fearing for us black people to know our history, to know our culture, to know our origin. And that's why even in the Bible, they have just remove some of the things, and they have written some of the things in the Bible so that to make us black people to be confused. And also guys, this also, it is one of the tools that made these people to colonize us black people, because these people, they use churches during slavery. These people, they use churches to colonize us. They came with a church and to make us believe in a church, and also they were telling us that to do the right thing, if somebody slap you this side, you can bring out and you can bring the other side so that he can slap you. No, these people, they are brainwashing. They used to brainwash us black people. They used to brainwash black people up to date. There are some of the black people also, they are still being brainwashed by these white folks. But for me, I really love doing this video because I want to open the mind and the eyes of our black people so that they can see what it is happening in the world, how these people, they used to treat us, how these people they made it easy to colonize us black people. And also guys, by teaching the black people about our own history, also it makes us black people to know who we are, because these people, they have been associating with black color being everything bad, and yet the black color, it is the origin color of the earth. We as black people, we are the real origin of this earth, not the white color, because these people, they told us that if someone dies, you will see people wearing black and go to the funeral. Why is it? Why can't you wear a white or a red? Because if someone dies here in Africa, people, they usually wear black and go to the funeral. But if someone is doing a wedding, you know, a wedding, it is a happy place. A wedding, it is full of enjoyment. It is a memory that somebody he or she will remember, because he's going to get married. So because it is a happy thing, it is a good ceremony, people wear white, because you will see the ladies, the gowns, the gowns, it is white. Yeah, so this is to tell you that everything which it is good, it is being associated with white. Everything which it is bad, it is being associated with black. It is now the right time for us black people to change. I need to see you going in funeral with white, not only black. Who told you that we should wear black color when we are going to the funeral? No, that one needs to change. These people, they are putting a message to us black people that everything which it is bad, it is black. And that's why they have painted our image here in Africa, because Africa, it is the motherland of the black people. So they have painted an image of Africa being the poorest country, being the third world country, being that country which it is associated with struggle. You have seen the image that these people, they have painted our African country, our black country. It is not a good image. And this is to tell you that these people, they hating us, and these people, they want them to be pure, they want them to be holy, they want us black people to believe in them, they want us black people to worship them. That's why they were telling us that Jesus is white. So kindly guys, I don't want to talk too much. I hope you have listened to what I have said, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Like this video and share with your friends, with your family, so that they can know exactly our black history. Thank you so much. See you next time.